my beautiful lovelies, it's Emmy. How are you? It's so good to see you and welcome back. Today I'm going to be making another recipe that requires a long period of time. I'm going to be making 15-hour potatoes. Many of you beautiful lovelies got in touch with me via social media and requested this one. The TikTok recipe I'm going to be following comes from @poppycooks, and I will put a link down below to the original if you're interested. So what's involved in 15-hour potatoes? Well, we're going to take Yukon Gold potatoes, we're going to slice them up, we're going to toss them in some melted duck fat and salt, and then we're going to layer them into a loaf pan, bake it, press it, cool it for 12 hours, cut it into cubes, and then we're going to deep fry it. Now, number one, I want to know, is this recipe worth it? I did a 100-hour brownie recipe. In case you missed it, I'll put the link down below, and it required 100 hours to make these brownies. I'll let you find out if it was worth it or not. As with these recipes, there's a lot of preparation involved, so let me catch you up to what I've done so far. The first thing we're going to do is take 5 medium-sized Yukon Gold potatoes. These potatoes contain a little less starch than, say, a russet potato. They're a little bit waxier, and it looks more similar to what Poppy Cooks uses in their video. So we're going to peel them, wash them, and then slice them very thinly. And you can do this with a knife, but I opted to use this tool here, and this is called a mandolin. It is very sharp and hence can be quite dangerous, so make sure you use the included guard if you use a mandolin. Next, we're going to take some duck fat. I tried to find a local source for this, but I couldn't find any, so I ended up ordering some online, and it comes in a tin. This was about $15, and it is a beautiful fat to cook in. It's monounsaturated, and it is traditionally used in French cookery paired with potatoes because it yields such crisp, beautiful potatoes. So we're going to take about a 1/4 cup of duck fat and place that into a large bowl. And if your duck fat is a little bit solid, warm that up just for a few seconds in the microwave because we want it to be nice and liquid. Add your sliced potatoes, and then we're going to add about 1 teaspoon of kosher salt. If you're using regular table salt, use about half as much because kosher salt has bigger flakes and it tends to be less salty than table salt. And then give everything a good toss. We want to make sure every single slice of potato is coated with the duck fat. Next, we're going to take a loaf pan and you're going to line it with parchment paper. Then we're going to carefully layer our slices of duck fat coated potatoes inside our loaf pan and fill it all in, pressing it, compressing it, and making sure that we've got duck fat in every single layer. So what we're doing here is we're laminating. We're making layers and layers of potato, and in between we've got the duck fat. It's kind of similar to or analogous to a croissant. So a croissant has layers of pastry, and in between we've got butter, and that's what gives us that beautiful flakiness. We're going to take some more parchment paper and cover the top. And then we're going to place it into a preheated 120 degrees Celsius or 250 degree Fahrenheit oven and bake it for 3 hours or until a knife pierces through the middle very easily. Once the potatoes have finished baking, I took another loaf pan, stacked that right on top, and then I weighted it with some jars. Now we're going to take this whole thing and place it in the refrigerator and chill it for 12 hours. So that was the bulk of 15 hours. We had a 3-hour baking time, we have a 12-hour cooling time, and now we're going to spend a few minutes deep frying our duck fat soaked potato slices. In a small saucepan, I've got about 1.5 inches of peanut oil, and I'm going to go ahead and start preheating this. So we want to get this to 190 degrees centigrade. Here is my little rig. Let's go ahead and unmold this and cut our spuds. Since it's in parchment, it should unmold easily. I always say that and then I jinx myself, right? Yeah. We need to unstick that. It should come right out. Okay, good. Alrighty, there are potatoes. So this technique Poppy Cooks calls of cooking something in a fat for some time is called confit. And from my understanding, it's also a means of food preservation. So you would have duck confit, like a leg of duck. You would poach it in the duck fat. Then you would allow it to sit in its fat. The fat would cool and coagulate, but also seal it from any kind of pathogens or moisture. And when you needed some meat, you would just extricate it out of the fat and then reseal it. And it would be a great, simple way to preserve meat. Brilliant, right? Other examples of using fat for food preservation would be paraffin on top of jellies, wax on the outside of cheese. Okay, back to this. And I'm just gonna cut this into cubes. That's what the potato looks like. See all those slices? Potato tower. These probably measure 2 inches by 1 inches. It should be noted that I'm using peanut oil here. Peanut oil has a really high smoking point, so it's good for frying at high temperatures. 376. I'm gonna just lower my potato in there. It's frying. Wowzers. So it's a good idea not to overfill your vessel. Oh, it's sticking. I don't want you to stick. So give them a little squinch so they don't stick too badly. Woo! That is looking gorgeous. Gorgeous. Oh my gosh, these are so gorgeous. Alrighty, my beautiful lovelies, and here we are, the 15-hour potatoes completed, and they look beautiful. They smell marvelous. It smells like French fries in here, and they didn't fall apart, which I was a little bit worried that that might happen, but they didn't. They crisped up beautifully, and now I can't wait to taste them. So right after these came out of the oil, I sprinkled them with some more kosher salt. Alrighty, let's go ahead and finally give one of these a taste. Itadakimasu. This is essentially a very long process to make a very crispy tater tot. They're so crispy, they're almost on the edge of becoming a potato chip. They're beautifully seasoned. You've got that great taste of potato. Salt is very important here. And then you've got that lovely crunch. They're not so crunchy that they become a potato chip, but almost. But there's a nice kind of bite and texture to them that's similar to hash browns. When you have hash browns and you get those crispy edges. I just need a little bit of ketchup to dip these into. Delicious. I'm trying to see if I can detect any duck fat flavor, any of that richness. And I don't necessarily. I taste lots of delicious potato and think maybe that has to do with the fact that we deep fried these afterwards. But regardless, these are scrumdiddlyumptious, lovely texture, lovely flavor. Are they worth 15 hours? If you've got some time on your hands and you want to try a little experiment and you happen to have some duck fat, yeah, definitely have it a go. It's actually not that much work. The bulk of the time in this recipe is passive. They're just resting in the refrigerator. But if you're watching this and suddenly now you have a craving for fried potatoes, I would say go to your freezer, grab the frozen tater tots if you have them, and deep fry them. Rather than putting them on a sheet pan and baking them, deep fry them. And deep fry them to a really dark golden color, and then sprinkle them with salt, grab some ketchup, and do that. Alrighty, my beautiful lovelies, thanks so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed that one. I hope you learned something. Please share this video with your friends. Follow me on social media, like this video, subscribe, and I shall see you in the next one. Toodaloo, take care, bye! I'm gonna go find me some ketchup.